Bosque.
I don't know. Bosque, I think is how you say it. Hey guys, this is Chris Martin here with the Real Albuquerque. I'm gonna leave that in. Today's episode we're with Jen Applegate-Anaya. Or Jennifer.
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 I have two last names because I like them both.
Yeah, it's a hyphen, but that's cool.
Yeah. Both with A's.
Right, both
so
with
my
A's.
initials are Jennifer and...
Ja? Oh, that's why you call it...
Applegate-Anaya. It's like Ja.
That's why you said Ja.
Yeah, that's why I said Ja. I wasn't talking about like Ja.
I didn't make that connection until We, in our previous episode, we had breakfast burritos with Jen, Crazy Lizard, and the Range Cafe. Our phones are beeping. Find out which one was better or worse, or which one I'm not going to use better or worse. Find out which one we liked better, because they were both really good.
Yeah, they were.
And we agreed on that.
I appreciate it, and thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm like, heck yeah, I get food. I get fed.
Yeah, right? This is probably the only podcast that gives you free burritos. I had to drink some water there because you get the burrito spiciness or whatever happens.
The sausage, it's salty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, today we're going to be talking with Jen just about general life stuff. Or whatever. We're going to see where this goes. Right? We're going into uncharted territory, so we have our wave shirt on, so we'll be okay.
I have my ohm right by my throat.
So we're good to go?
We're good. We're fine. We're safe.
So, Jen, maybe you can tell us and talk to us about where you started in the yoga industry. Or maybe even further back in the life-changing story you had to tell us when we were getting our yoga teaching license. Our RYT 200?
200?
Yeah.
Which one was that? There's like been a lot of life-changing experiences.
Well, I don't know if you want to go too deep with this.
I love going deep, though. But deep's great, but maybe you guys don't want to go deep.
Well, maybe we can take a truncated version of that story of where you weren't able to do moves and now how you know what I'm talking that story.
Yeah.
I think that'd be to tell that and then going into how you and Rebecca built some cult following and then now how you're still building your own cult following and
I don't even know if cult following is a good way to put that either.
Well,
like,
maybe
tribe.
I like that. That's better.
Tribe.
You're building your tribe with Rebecca for a long time and now you're building your tribe with yourself. Well, I mean, really. I mean, you're building the Jen brand, the Ja brand.
Exactly, the Ja brand.
And maybe we can talk about that. And then maybe we can even dabble in talking about when you're up north.
Oh, Trinidad, yeah.
Yeah, and taking chances on yourself.
Oh,
because that was a big chance.
Oh, yeah, that was like balls. You want to say balls?
Yeah.
That's balls.
Yeah, so that takes some stuff. So maybe we can start off at the very beginning. Oh, no, you're okay.
Very beginning.
Where you were, where you got into yoga and you said you couldn't do some moves.
I'll give like the short version of
Yeah, we don't need I mean, we have an hour, but there's so much to talk about in this hour.
There is, and it's like, okay, so...
But I think that is contextually...
applicable?
Yes. Exactly.
Well, yoga, I actually became interested in yoga in high school, and I did, and it was interesting because I was like senior year in high school, and my teacher said, you need to do a project on religion, and I thought it was a religion, and then as I researched yoga, I was like, oh my god, it's not a religion. Right. So I did a presentation it was like, I can't remember what class it was, on how yoga wasn't a religion, and that was the first yoga class I taught. And I picked the most unflexible guy in class, and I learned these poses like online.
Was this no? This was pre-internet, wasn't it?
There was the internet where you still had the dial-up and wait, and it was like
you got mail. Yeah. And you're like, okay.
And then I would go to the library where you actually like looked up books and like looked in
microfiche and
and so I looked up poses and I like picked. I don't even know what I picked, but it was like it kind of turned into this comical thing.
Right.
And not like making fun of him, but it was like, look at this person in high school who can't touch their toes. And this was like in 1996.
Right.
And so that was like the first yoga. Then started yoga at the YMCA in Port Angeles, Washington, and started to like just get touched by it. And so I took like a weekend workshop for Yoga Fit and got certified through Yoga Fit. And it was like the next week, I literally went to like the gym that was in town and was like, "Can I teach yoga?" And he was like, "Great, 6:30." And I was like, "Sweet."
Perfect.
So yeah, so I started teaching yoga like after a weekend workshop. Really tenacious. And then just like been teaching for a while, apprenticed with Iyengar trainers, Anna Forrest trainers, Ashtanga trainers, and Bikram.
Yeah.
And like trainers for these styles of yoga in San Diego. I was apprenticing. I didn't even have my 200 hour.
Oh wow, okay.
Then
you had your weekend.
But I had my weekend.
You had your 16
and
hour.
I was like, just, and they hired me. They're like, "Yeah, you're great." And I was teaching in San Diego. Then went to Florida. And that's where I met Rebecca and
Jimmy, right?
Yeah, well, that was like before all that. Like when I was in Florida, I was still in the Coast Guard.
Oh, okay.
And so, but like I went to Florida to take a training, and Rebecca was living here in New Mexico and was doing like her CEs.
Okay.
With the owner of Hot Yoga Downtown, and so I.
Who's the owner now?
Bruce Scher.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Bruce Scher, and I think that's how you say his last name. And so like we all stayed in this condo for like a week because I literally went out there with nowhere to stay. I put down my deposit. I brought like extra money to pay more for the training.
Right.
I bought my plane ticket and I brought a yoga mat and a pillow and like enough clothes for yoga for 30 days.
And a
like
toothbrush.
2 bags. Yeah. No, and I just used carrots and celery.
Carrots.
Who needs a toothbrush? And and I had nowhere to stay, and so Rebecca like pops in and she's like, "You could stay with us for a week," and then
she was in the same class or the building
she was staying in the building next door with Bruce for the CEs and the Birkin training as I took Jimmy Birkin's 200 hour because I was like, I kind of need my certificate, don't I?
Yeah.
And hot yoga, how amazing in hot yoga. And so Rebecca and I like met there, spent a week, and then in that training it was like, ooh. Everybody's telling me about Albuquerque and how amazing it is and sideways
lightning. So you didn't even know about Albuquerque?
No, but there was like...
This is pre-Albuquerque.
This is pre-Albuquerque. Melanie St. George's was in my teacher training.
Oh, really? I know Mel.
Stephanie Martin.
Don't know Steph.
And then this other woman, B. And I think that might have been it. So there was... Oh, and then Bruce came. And so there was 4 people from Albuquerque.
B sounds familiar.
B. Thompson before. I don't know her married name now. And she was an acupuncturist and she taught at Hot Yoga Downtown. And so they were all in my training. That's how I met Mel. We were both in the same 200-hour teacher training. And so it is. It's a really fun backstory. It's a really neat story of like how she literally had a binder of her logo for Blissful Spirits.
Oh, really?
Already wanted to open a yoga
studio. This is pre-Mel.
This is pre-Blissful, like there was like 2 hot yoga studios, 2 Bikram studios and Hot Yoga Downtown.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think, in the Albuquerque market of hot yoga, maybe this is similar in other places, but it's just exploded.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's like they're more common than Walmart's.
It is,
and Walmart's opening like the neighborhood stores, you know.
And it's like,
yeah,
and that's the cool thing because when you're talking about like that cult following, I wouldn't say it's like more cult. It is. It's more of a tribe, and like there's so many yoga studios here, and I really, really hope that like everybody who owns them and goes to them can see that there's enough for everybody.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you build your own tribe.
Yeah.
Like
around your ideals of how you view life, and it's
and
building a tribe.
And you attract people who have those same ideals, and then you get to meet and create this amazing momentum and purpose together.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've learned just in life and business and stuff like that is abundance is everywhere. There's enough abundance for everybody.
There is. There really is.
But we're always taught when we're like younger that if so-and-so gets the promotion, I don't get the promotion. You know what I'm talking about?
And it's taking it away from you.
Right, or my friend does good in his job, that means that somehow it's taking away from me doing good, but it's just not the truth. Success and abundance and, if you want to think about wealth or whatever like that, but I just call it abundance.
Bounty.
Abundance is bountiful.
It is.
To everyone.
Like bounty.
But we're always taught if someone wins, someone has to lose. Like in basically the casino is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
There's always a winner, there's always a loser. But that's not the truth.
And number 1 is like lonely. That's only one person. It's like, yes, we are all one.
Right.
And so, but it's like that connected, and that's another thing too of like, striving to be the best and the best one and only one, and it's lonely.
Yeah.
Being the best one.
Yeah, because
but not always. I mean, it's great too because there's all those other things. But do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, maybe our people here will pick that up too. So I just injected that because we have a lot of studios here in town, but it's really an untapped market. And I don't think there's really gonna be a time where there's gonna be no new people to talk to.
Oh yeah.
Because I go to different studios. Now we're up at Hot Yoga and Fusion, checking it out with Jen and Laura's there, and other people there. I can't remember. Chantel is there.
Yeah, she's so sweet.
So, if you're watching or listening, Chantel, love you, of course, and love you, Laura, of course, too. But there's a bunch of studios and you get to try different things. So I like to move around and be agile and nimble with the studios because you go to Mi Vida, it's a different vibe from Hot Yoga and Fusion, which is a different vibe from Let It Be, which is a different vibe from Blissful
and everywhere else. So, like, they all have their flavor and it's a neat flavor.
Yeah, and I like to go to different ones and check it out and you're like, oh, this is what this feels like.
I started going to Beak Room again.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, like I was just
What are your thoughts?
You know what's really amazing is because you do need that structure. Like the way that I teach is very flowy and yin, and but I also like the holding things and trying to make it. I like that balance of both.
Now, did you get the need or want from the structure from the military?
I think it's more so.
Because you kind of talked about that with the burrito too.
Yeah, it could be, or it just could be like a personal thing.
I don't know.
Of like I'm such like a free creative spirit that like I know myself well enough that I need that structure to lock it in. Otherwise, the shit that I want to do and all those great ideas that I have just that are gonna freaking save the world are not gonna happen if I don't freaking focus.
So it's
right.
I'm picturing this. It's like having a cup versus a bottle. Right? The bottle keeps all the liquids in. The cup, I can just keep adding water, but once I get to the top, it's going to start overflowing and making a mess, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're kind of talking about.
Exactly.
The bottle keeps the good stuff trapped in there.
And keeps it to where, okay, I can still pour and it's going to be at least at a rate that is like not overwhelming.
Right.
Instead of like dumping the cup.
Yeah, it's like all comes out.
And because I do that too, and I'm sure people do that, right? Where it's just like so much information and you're like, I'm so excited. La, 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 la. And then like, I don't even know what you're talking about anymore because I'm really freaked out.
Yeah.
Like
and I can see that in yoga when you're teaching. You know, you're like freaking people out here.
Oh yeah.
But I like that.
Yeah, well, there's also those things too of like, as a yoga teacher and here in this country, my teaching style is to shock people and wake them up from this cultural trance.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very apparent in your classes.
Thank you.
No, but I mean, it's fun. You do it in a fun way. Like we're holding some stuff, and you're like, and I remember this specifically from last week. No, because it was like, we were doing some pose. It was 3-legged down dog, but I had to bring my hand to my leg.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult. And then you're like, well, maybe this goes back to your ideals. Are you scared to try? Are you scared to try and fail? Are you, what has society taught you? You didn't say society, but
it is. It's,
are you afraid to fall and take this chance? And then we're like, well, once you think about it like that, no, we need to at least try this and get some muscle memory going, right?
Exactly. And then if you fall, you're like, oh, it's padded. It's not that bad.
Right. But that's a microcosm of the macrocosm of what's going on. People are too scared to try something, too scared to go with whatever amount of money and a towel and yoga clothes to Florida with no place to stay.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
It is. It's like, and I ended up having a place to stay. I traded Reiki sessions and bought food for this woman who had an extra bed in her place. It worked out because I wanted it so bad.
That's kind of a nugget of knowledge within itself. You just want it so bad and you can picture it and visualize it. And you can feel it. Do you ever do that?
Yes, and it was aligned with my highest good and the highest good of everybody around me. If I never went to that training, I would have never met Bruce and B and Melanie and spent that time with
Becca,
Rebecca.
Of course.
And because we already knew each other. We had known each other like 10 years by then.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, or 15 years by then.
But Mel and B and
it was like I would have never heard that call because there was a call of like, hey, come to Albuquerque. All right.
Yeah, we're here.
We're here. And it was like it all worked out, and it might sound like all new agey or whatever, but that's the thing too. It's like if it wasn't in alignment,
it wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened.
Right.
At all. Like it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it's easy to connect all the dots going backwards, but like going forward, you're like, okay, we're taking a big chance on ourselves here.
Yeah.
And in on a career, and we don't know what's gonna really happen.
And the family too. I had like Mason was like 2 years old, and it was like a month-long training away from my family.
Yeah. So there's a lot of.
Yeah, and so there's like the mother's guilt, and then the amount of money that you're spending, and it's like because it was like traveling across the country, and then food, and then luckily I didn't have to worry about lodging, but
Right.
it was it was definitely like transformational. And then just like going on with like the yoga thing after my son was born, and Mason, he had all these crazy what do they call complications, but just all kinds of stuff going on with his body. And it's just so interesting as being somebody so healthy,
Right.
And then you're like, oh my god, what did I do to make this happen? I've been eating organic and non-GMO, and like and my body got completely wrecked from the birth because he was vacuumed out. And so, and during that time, because I was so stressed out, I was eating emotionally, and like I was like 250 pounds.
Which is hard to believe, because every time all I've known you is this Jen, you know, this jaw.
This jaw. And I looked like Rebecca would always be like, oh my god, it looked like Shrek. Like it was like just really big and round on the top, and then like freak on the legs. And it's true. It was like it was and you know, it's like, and it's not about how you look, but it is. You do care. I care how I look. And I don't, just because I do yoga, I don't think that, and I'm a yogi and spiritual, doesn't mean like, hey, I kind of want to look nice.
Right.
You know, but I lost that weight, and it was like
just over time doing yoga, and
I couldn't even do yoga at first.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this.
I couldn't jump. I had to have help. Like, help me out of my chair because my whole pelvic floor was just torn, and it took 7 months to be able to jump a little bit, like this high off the ground. And so and during that time also, I was in school for holistic health coaching.
Okay.
And so I was taking like macrobiotics and Ayurveda and raw food nutrition and all this nutrition thing, because I knew that like the doctors were like, yeah, your son's going to be sick, because he had heart surgery when he was like 6 days old, was in the hospital forever. So I'm going to school learning all these things.
Right. And
then yoga, when I started doing it, started healing my body even more. I was making better decisions about like the food I was eating,
mentally and physically.
Yeah, everything.
It's weird how I'm not here. This is not a podcast today to talk about how good yoga is, but there is some things that I would say that yoga does help you with. It helps you build strength, and it helps you mentally, because what I always get out of yoga is like, and I talked about this in another episode with Kirk, is, you know, when you do these poses, or, you know, when Chantel's making you do plank for, 15 times, and
Laura makes you hold it for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you're like, and you're like, there's a lot of things that happen in your mind, and your mind's the one that's going to quit before your body does.
Yep. Yeah.
And I look around and I'm like, okay, if that, middle-aged woman is still doing it, and that 20-year-old lady or girl is still doing it, and I'm the one who's going to give up, I'm not going to let that happen, or at least try not to. And you kind of just like, okay, let's just breathe through this thing. And that's what you talked about last week, is can you breathe through this?
Yeah, can you breathe and still hold it, and like maintain your breath and not hold it?
Yeah, or are you gritting your teeth? Are you putting self-doubt into your mind?
Is your sphincter so tight?
So what I like about yoga is you just make small changes over time, and those small changes add up. Like you said, you just took you 7 months to jump this high.
Yeah.
And maybe now, 10 years later, you can jump this high. I don't know, but it's just all small stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can see and feel, you're like, oh, I am getting better. I am getting stronger. I am feeling better.
Yeah, exactly.
Pants and clothes fit better, and you're like, oh, what I am doing is working, because it is such small changes over
so tiny,
and it's hard to be like, is anything happening?
Exactly. It's cool to like take before and after pictures. Like I do that with my clients, take before and after pictures and do measurements. Like, let's just look at this,
because you see yourself in the mirror every day, so you're like, you don't notice these small changes. But other people do. In your clothes, you're like, oh, okay, things are happening.
Oh yeah, this is a little loose, I have to keep on pulling it up.
Right? I
don't have camel toe anymore.
Okay. So, next. I don't know where we're going next. Next, we're back in Albuquerque now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Back in Albuquerque.
Or no, you came to Albuquerque. Everybody was calling you.
Came to Albuquerque, and it was a call here.
Yeah.
And came to Albuquerque, started teaching at Blissful Spirits with Rebecca
and Mel.
And
this is Mel just started this, right?
Just opened, like,
it was this
carpet in there.
This was on Paseo, right?
Yeah.
I remember hearing about the carpet.
The room was still smaller.
Oh,
really? It was
really?
still a smaller room. We had the wall got knocked down.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And because it was, and I can't remember the whole time frame or anything, but it was like just started building classes. And I remember at first teaching with my notes from Barkin training, like, oh, I have to teach this way, and it's this flow that I learned.
Right.
And being so uncomfortable with it because I am also a massage therapist and then had been teaching and like apprenticing with all these different modalities for so long. And it was like, okay, well, this way that like Barkin taught it may not be good even for people that have these issues, because I also put like that massage therapy and that body work aspect into teaching as well.
Right, and you kind of go into the muscle groups and talk about it. It's a pretty cool class.
Yeah, and like the emotions associated with that muscle and like what it's doing. And so, I just want people to become more aware and
their body and what they're thinking, right?
Be in your body too.
And be comfortable.
Exactly. Be in your body and be comfortable, because you're here for a reason. Like, you didn't just come here to sit and watch TV all day and be completely numb and in your head.
Yeah, and
you're
the lazy boy.
Right, and hypnotized. Like, it hypnotizes you. But anyways, tangents. See? Like a hummingbird. Pew, 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 pew.
Squirrel.
What? Really?
Yeah, we go on tangents all the time.
Yeah. Like Key and Peele.
Right.
Oh my God, I want to be an angry somebody. Like,
what do you mean?
Like, have you ever seen that? Is it Key and Peele?
Yeah. Key and Peele.
And he's got Angry Obama.
Oh yeah.
And like,
we'll link that up.
Yeah, and I was actually doing that on the phone one day, where my client was really angry and didn't feel like she could express it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be angry you. And I just started like going off, and I was like, haven't you seen Key and Peele? She starts laughing though, but it's like,
yeah, it's funny.
It is, like, just because sometimes you kind of just get it out. But yeah, Albuquerque, building yoga. The teacher training came about because we were learning so many things and studying so many spiritual techniques to really connect to our soul. It was basically like our soul, that part of ourselves, the higher self. Like, we teach that.
Right.
And we created this training because I had so much like body work and like the healing arts, like Zen touch and food and nutrition.
And the massage therapy side, which means muscle groups. Knowing how things work, right?
Yeah, and then how to even make a yoga class feel like a massage for your body.
Yeah.
And with like the movements that you do and the twists, and then just like the intent and the awareness. And Rebecca was like this amazing asana and just knows so much detail and is so intuitive with other people's bodies.
Yeah, she's pretty, well, both of you guys are very intuitive. But
Yeah, so like,
and that was the Sacred Hot Yoga Method at the time. Well, still is.
Yes. So it's like the intent of Sacred Hot Yoga Method is still there, with the aspects of like becoming conscious and being aware of your body and what it does, and grounding this amazing, like, because we have to think about where yoga came from, right?
Right.
Did it stop?
No. I was looking to make sure the battery level's okay. I always get.
We're draining the battery. It can't hang with the juice.
No, we're good. We're good. We're right on track.
In India, and like where yoga came from, it's like you have to think about the culture, right? And the culture of and the conditions that people were living in. So it was amazing to connect and like be up in this bliss all the time.
Right.
And so here it's like, and especially with sacred, it's okay, bring it down and anchor it here. And instead of being up in your head or up in the clouds all the time,
right?
It's live it. Like, can you live it here and apply it? And because you can know it right here, right?
You have all the book knowledge, right?
And you can know it and understand it and make it feel like it changes your life, because intellectually you know it. You don't know it until you do it,
right? And
you walk it, because you get clarity from action. So there's a lot of and there's a lot of like personal development.
And that's really cool. It's kind of interesting how you built your I was going to say cult, but you said tribe. How you built your tribe, and well, you and Rebecca at the time, but you're still building your tribe now. And one of the best things I would say why your tribe and hers and people's tribes grow so well is just being authentic 100% job.
Yeah.
100% Jen.
100%.
And you see that in your class, and it's not like, whether, last week, whether it's a class where we had a bunch of younger kids and older people mixing that, remember that class?
Yeah.
I think it was Thursday. But you're still going to be Jen. You're not going to be, you're still goofy Jen, and it appeals to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So it's just...
And it lightens it, because you don't have to be so serious.
But some of the older people maybe wanted like a more serious class, but...
That's what a sacred candlelit music class can be for. Like
we did that
we
two
did
weeks
that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, which is pretty fun too.
And they're amazing, they're fun, and there's like... And it's like, I like to teach with like a different intention. For like like when I'm teaching, I have a different intent.
Right.
And so like, and a lot of times it's like, okay, well the physical intent is going to be hips today.
Right.
But I don't plan the class.
Right.
The sequence comes, because I'll literally go in the bathroom and be like, okay, and literally pray.
Yeah. What are we going to do today?
What are we going to do today? What do they need? Because it's about them. It's about you. It's about your body. It's about a service. They're not here to like give me love bombs and love all over Jen. They're here because they need something and they want medicine. And so it's like, okay. And
whatever that is.
And whatever that is. And sometimes it is a sacred class, and we're going to light candles and play dubstep. Or R&B, and make it really sensual. And
but being 100% authentic, 100% you adds credibility.
Yeah, I mean, it does.
Have you seen other people try to be something they're not in this yoga game and not be successful? Or,
well, in like the beginning of the trainings, there would be like a lot of feedback when I would take somebody's class who had taken our training, and they would say,
"Oh, okay.
How was I? Was I funny? Was I like you?" And it's like, oh no, you weren't, and it wasn't good. Like, because you weren't being you, because that's the whole point. Like, some people aren't silly.
Right.
Some people are serious. And so it's like, as long as you're teaching and like from that place right here and that heart and being authentic, it's such an amazing experience. It's when like somebody's trying to quote the Bhagavad Gita and don't even understand anything behind it, and then is like, I don't know, saying love and light behind somebody's back while they're talking shit about them. It's like, and we all have our things that we learn.
Right. Yeah. One thing that you can take away out of life is no one's perfect.
No, we are so human. Oh my God.
So as much as you want to be perfect, that's just not going to happen. But yeah, we're human. So.
And it is, and it's like, but like the whole authenticity, and people have liked the silliness and the modern music.
Of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's who you are.
Exactly.
But if you were all serious and like maybe barking-ish, regimented of let's do this pose and we're a robot and do this pose, I'd be like,
Domo arigato.
Domo. I'd be like, yeah, we need to. I don't want to be here. It'd be probably not as enjoyable.
That, and I mean, because even with going back to like the Bikram, I've been taking Bikram classes because me as a person, I need that structure right now in my life.
But that's that style, and you're willing to accept that style because the the Bikram is this.
Exactly.
But if it was like you or Bree or some of these people teaching Bikram, it'd be like it's like stripping your soul away.
It'd be like, just like, here's a car door, and take my tongue and just slam it over and over and over.
But you could do it. I'm sure you could do it in a fun way and add your Jenness to it. But what I'm saying is, it's not your style.
No.
But you like to take it.
Yeah, right. So. Like right now, it's like it's what I need, and I'm gonna follow what I need. I need that structure. It has made me so much more flexible and stronger. And so like when I go to a class and I take it, I'm like, whoa, my foot can go over my head. Whoa, it's been a minute.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Forgot about that. Oh look, I can talk.
On your phone.
Right? I'm on my new flip phone. So
But yeah, no, it's interesting. I thought authenticity is a big part of who you are in the studio and in the class, but more importantly, who you are in life. And it's pretty cool to see how you're building your tribe that way. People respond to it because, like, we know that's Jen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, she's going to talk about poop, farts, vagina and balls at some point.
In the class.
In a class or at any point. I was hoping to be able to sneak it in on this too, and I did.
Yeah, you got it.
So I got you guys.
But it's fun. It's who you are, and it just makes it takes the tension and stress out of it. When I was first starting yoga at Evolve, I think you and Rebecca. I took Rebecca's class the first time, and I'm like, oh my god, I need more of this.
Yeah.
And she's just as goofy as you are. When you guys are together, it's almost too much.
It's out of control. Yeah.
You just basically turn into a 5-year-old, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because the filters that society put on you are just like gone.
Blasted off. It is. We always,
those filters of like, I need to be an adult.
We always egged each other on. Like, I completely support you in saying everything that you want to say. I got your back on that. Like,
yeah. And like society makes us be adults, and we have to, but when you get them all together, everybody together, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But then I took your class, I think at the time it was on a Wednesday, or it was a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
You going up on a Tuesday.
And I was like, oh my god, Jen is just as much fun, And then I started going, every day basically for 6 or 8 months, and then did the class with you guys, and it was a lot of fun. So you bring people back with all your high energy and just being who you are. It's really cool.
Yay, thank you. I appreciate that.
But not too many people have that, so people are like, well, maybe I need to be this, or I need to be that, or like you said,
they try to be somebody that they admire.
Right.
When it's like, like when you were talking about like the jealousy of somebody who gets hired, and then there's not enough, right?
Right. The lack
and sometimes somebody might be like, oh my god, I want to be like that so bad, and it's like, well, that's because you have it in you, and if you get jealous or envious, it's because that's the potential that you have, and you want to be like that.
Right.
But not exactly. It's like we have our own expressions, and like that's what I love to teach. Like the trainings that I do now are very, very like intimate and private, and it's like I can't teach somebody how to teach exactly like me, but I can teach them how to teach like them.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But you don't want to teach them to be like you, and that kind of brings up another thing. That brings up a great point of, we're all on this journey. Technically, we're all on this journey together. Yeah. But the journey and the way lives cross and paths cross is so different, and what we're actually destined to do is, what I'm destined to do is far different from what you're destined to do, which is far different than, anybody else. Because everybody has their own thing. But if I'm like, oh, Jen has this crazy tribe and everybody loves Jen and everybody's coming to her class and she has 1,000 people in her class and I'm teaching class and I can barely get like 15 on a Sunday. You're like, what am I doing wrong? It puts an insecurity. It puts an insecurity and that kind of self-limiting thought of like, maybe they don't like my voice, maybe I'm not as good, maybe,
we make it about us. We're like, oh, we make it about us.
Yeah, and little did you know that weekend is, Sundays at 1 o'clock is, where people go do whatever they do.
And it takes time too. Like we're so used to like that instant gratification. Like when Evolve shut down, I would hear teachers say like, oh my god, I'm having so much trouble filling this class, like at a new studio. And
they forgot what the grind was.
And it's kind of like, well, now you get to experience what we experienced at the beginning of Blissful and of Cloud9 and Evolve also.
Right.
Of like literally building shit from scratch and putting in that passion of breaking past the why isn't I can speak English. Why aren't people coming to my class? Right. It's like, okay, that worry right there, it goes, okay, well, this is because I'm only focused on me right now. I'm not focusing on how I can be of service. Yeah. And we focus too much on those numbers. People can feel that. Like, we're all energetic beings. We all have these frequencies that we can feel. When somebody is like, oh.
Yeah, you walk into a room and it's like, oh shit, what happened there?
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, did they just fight and someone just get killed in here?
Yeah, the energy's very weird in here and I don't like it.
And then we also are like a new teacher or something like that, will start to beat yourself up. Like, oh my god, I'm being selfish and I'm aware of this. And it's like, and we just like worry too much instead of going, I'm here for them, and not in like a martyr way. Right. It's like, because if you're just going to a class, you've got 50 people all the time, and it's like, okay, you're making everybody do chaturangas. Like,
Right.
okay, well, what's after that? What's more? And so I think it was amazing that everything exploded because then people got to deal with smaller classes and be intimate and like learn how to teach really, really well.
Yeah, it's harder to teach a class of 2 or 3.
It is.
When I was teaching at Me Vita, when she just started Heather Smelser?
Smelser. Yeah.
Sorry, Heather. I was teaching there, and it's like Sundays at, I think, 9 o'clock. And there'd be some days where it'd just be me and one other person. I'm like, I've never taught one person. This is really weird. You know, this is what I'm talking about. And then I told him, like, I don't know how this is going to be because I've never taught one person. It's going to be pretty weird. Or maybe it's going to be pretty fun or magical. I don't know. But we're going to get through this together.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some fun. But it's really hard. Because you're like,
it is.
You have one person looking at you. You don't have that obscurity of like, okay, there's 50 people. I can kind of...
Exactly. Yeah.
I can kind of walk around and do my thing. It's like... You know what I'm talking about. It was really difficult.
It is. It's so difficult. That happened when I went to Trinidad.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like a new person.
Yeah, let's talk about Trinidad.
Yeah.
So you went up to Trinidad, not the Caribbean, right?
Yeah, not the Caribbean. No, I went to Trinidad, Colorado, which is like right on the border of New Mexico and Colorado. And it was like after the business partnership of Sacred had split up. And I had resigned from Evolve.
Right.
And so I was so heartbroken and like, oh my God, my life has exploded around me and everything I've known and built. And
Right.
And so I got an offer
to
teach and do trainings up in Colorado by a studio owner who had hired one of our graduates to be her manager.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name.
Hot Yoga on Main.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and oh my God, the studio now is so beautiful because they've moved and they've got like stone walls and it's such a beautiful space. It's like if you ever go to anywhere on I-25 and stop there and take a yoga class, like, oh my God, they're amazing too. They're not as silly, but you know. And it's cool because they built this yoga studio in a Lutheran religious town. Like it's mostly Lutheran and Catholic and Italian immigrants. And so like when they started there, they were like, you heathens, no. And
no one will come.
Yeah. And then people started coming. They're like, oh my God, I'm feeling better. And the town started to revive. So, but I went up there and ended up renting this ginormous, like 6,000 square foot house. That's like one of those things too, where it's like everything is just like all put together, and it had like 35-foot floor to ceiling windows and a
beautiful.
365-degree view of like, oh, there's Fisher's Peak, there's the back of Sangre de Cristo Mountains. I can watch the moonrise and set and the sunrise and set.
Yeah, remember you sent me pictures of it snowing and stuff like that? It was pretty cool.
There were deer. There was a bear that came into the house one time and like totally raided the trash. It was like a little baby bear.
Aww.
And like got out and then was on its paw or on its hind legs trying to open the door, and I'm like staring at it. And Ricky's like, "What are you doing? That's a bear." I was like, "How often do you get to stare a bear in the eyes?"
Yeah, straight down.
Like straight in the eyes. And I was like, "You better not come back because they'll shoot you."
Yeah, little Yogi Bear.
Yeah, it didn't have a mom. But so we did trainings up at this house. We did a few teacher trainings up at this house, which was pretty epic. But that was a big jump. That was a big leap. Like, I'm just going to start doing retreats and and like...
Yeah, so maybe you can talk about what kind of was going through your mind there when you were...
well...
Because you're taking big chances, and you did that when you went to Florida. And there's no real kind of, end game. It's not like, okay, you have a one-year contract to do this, and we're going to pay you X. Or, I mean, you're doing this you're just doing this off intuition and chance.
Like just jumping, and hopefully it works out. Yeah, a little bit of a maverick that way.
Well, most of society, I probably say, is the opposite. They want like definite.
What's gonna be safe?
Yeah,
but see how I like will transfer like the polarity of like the maverick and jumping with like my food and like other things of like I need to separate my sausage now.
Right.
So it's like it ends up some way in our life like being expressed. So, but yeah, I mean that was just like it was like a jump of like here's an offer, teach at the studio, do these trainings, and I actually fell so hard up there. Like here's my face, bam, like on the floor, and just because I had built so much with other people. And when all of that was gone, I had no idea what it was that I wanted.
Interesting.
Like that Jen, only Jen wanted.
Right, right.
And because I didn't know, I was like, I think it was like a good year depression.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah, it was like a good year of what am I doing? This isn't my life.
Right, right.
Yeah, I mean it was really crazy. And you know, like that's why I say I like getting deep and raw, because it's like that does happen to even like the people that might come off as like the happiest, and it
Or
was
the most
like,
secure, most grounded,
most secure and grounded. It was like that was so grounded. I was crying every day, and just yeah. So, but that was like what I needed to be able to like reconnect myself to my practice, because I was teaching so much. I lost my yoga practice. I started to like not get excited about teaching, and then it never happened.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Ever.
So you were learning a lot about yourself, internally and mentally about.
It was like I basically had taught so much and was putting so much out there, and then basically being like, but I'm serving my community, I'm serving, and then completely forgot about me and like my desires and what I wanted and what were my dreams.
Interesting.
And so because I wasn't pursuing my dreams, I was out of alignment. So of course everything that happened would have happened.
Yeah, your mojo was off. So then you came back to Albuquerque just recently, right?
Yeah, well, it's been over a year. We came back because it didn't work out there. Like that was like a rest stop. It was
okay, I can picture that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was like stick me on top of a mountain, like 8,000 foot elevation in the most beautiful house possible,
right,
for like 8 months, and just figure your shit out. Go. Yeah, it was literally like that. Like it was a beautiful, amazing rest stop, and the people there are they're doing it.
Well, as long as you got something out of it that helped you grow, then it's all worth it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So then I came back here.
Right.
And that was just because we fell so hard. It was like the worst financial crisis. I've never experienced anything like that. Like this crazy financial crisis where basically like we were homeless and our car got repoed.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you want to talk about like, whoa, hello, castle, and then watakate! Like, yeah, and there were some beautiful people that would let my family and I stay with them, and they took care of us, and they were just like, you need to learn how to receive. It was like, it was basically like leaving Albuquerque, going to Trinidad. It was like lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson. And I'm just like, can I freaking break?
Yeah.
And
can school be over?
Can I just take, it's like surfing. Like, have you ever been surfing?
Yes, I have.
And get caught on the inside of a set where it's like wave and then crash. You come up and take a breath and you wave.
You duck dive and you're like, okay, I got to go under. And you're like, okay, I'm up, now I'm down again. Yeah.
And it's just like, and it's like, there's times where I've wiped out, and then on the inside, and it's like wave, can't get to my board.
Yeah, and you're still, even if you're underwater, you're still in that washing machine, and you're just tumbling, and you're like, okay, I'm up, and then you're like, oh my gosh, here comes another one.
And it's huge, it's huge, and you see it, You're
like, okay, I need some breath, I need some air, because this could be a bit, and then you go back under, and you get hit with it again, and you're rolling around, and...
That was like 2014 and 2015 for me.
Well, good thing it's 2016.
Yeah, I'm so thankful. Oh
so that brings up an interesting point about receiving. People limit themselves because they don't open themselves up to receiving, right?
Exactly, precisely.
Maybe you can explain that more. And that's a, because everybody's willing to give.
Yes.
To some degree.
Oh, yeah.
But I was struggling with that receiving too. Is like, you give so much and people are like, well, here's this, and I get all like weird about it.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, we just need to accept these gifts, smile, say thank you, and whether you want it or don't want it, they're trying to give you something, which helps them. So
it is, because it's like, it is an exchange. It's like by not allowing somebody to give to you, or just like
you break up the cycle.
You break a cycle, because it's a gift to be able to give, and and then if you're like no, and it's like that's stopping the flow. And it's like, because talking about receiving, I know so many. It's like, okay, look at the financial crisis that I went through, and I doubt I was the only one.
Right.
And then I know so many people that are giving and teaching, and whether they're a massage therapist and they have 40 people a week or whatever, and it's like all this giving because on some level they feel like, like I need to do that. And so the receiving part is also like when we meditate, that's us receiving our divine guidance. Because half the time I'm like, I hear people saying, God's not listening to me, and it's like, no, you're not listening. And like, it's always constant. When they say, when you get that gut feeling to go left, go freaking left. Like
that's what you need to do.
It is. It's a whisper. It's like subtle. And that's the whole thing of receiving, is like receiving our guidance, listening to it and trusting it, because that's like the bigger part that we really should listen to.
Right.
But then if you did receive that guidance, it's probably going to change your life. Right? You might move to Trinidad and end up in a house, then fall flat on your face. And
have a little bear friend.
And have a bear friend eating your freaking delicious avocados and just taking bites. It was like, he was like, a fair is a veritable smorgasbord, like, just took a bite out of everything. But man. It is. And receiving is like that same thing of like, if you can't even receive like your own guidance and trust it, then how are you going to receive more money?
Or how are you going to receive abundance?
Love, or abundance, or bounty.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. And I understand the hardness of receiving, because I had to go through that. But it's there's like a weirdness thing sometimes.
It
like,
is.
And like,
maybe you're feeling like an intention behind the giving, because sometimes that makes us feel weird too.
Well, sometimes there is
if somebody has a weird intention behind what they're giving, because people will give.
And if that's the case,
to make you like them, right? And then you're like, oh, but I like you anyways, like.
Well, sometimes I do get that, and I'll maybe accept it and give it to somebody else with no intention behind that gift, so I can move it on. But sometimes that'll happen, and somebody will give you something, and the intention that I get most of the time is that now I owe them something.
Yeah.
Which some people will give you something small in hopes that you give, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or whatever, and I'm like, I don't, and you can feel that.
Because it's gross. You're like, don't get that shit all over me.
So either I'll not accept it, which is not the right thing to do, but most of the time I'll accept it and give it to somebody else with no intention behind it and move it past.
Which that's wise.
Yeah, just move it through. But you know what I'm talking about. And there is that kind of trap of, okay, now I know this guy's going to call me in 1 week or 2 weeks and say,
hey, can I have a favor?
Yeah, I need this. Yeah, you remember that time I gave you whatever? So you have that, but so when I try to give people anything, I just do it because sometimes I don't even, like when you send stuff to friends, I don't even leave like a thank you or anything, just so it doesn't know where it came from.
That's awesome.
So you don't have that like, oh, Chris sent me this, so now I owe him something. You just take that all out of the factor.
When it's just kind of like, oh my goodness, because it feels really good when somebody is truly generous with you. And like those people that housed us were so generous with their house and their showers and their towels and fridge, you know, and like all of that stuff. And that was so generous, and there was no intention other than like, just pay it forward. Right,
exactly. So that brings up interesting stuff. And there is, I mean, you can feel all that and how it goes. And I liked what you brought up about going left and your body telling you these things, and you can feel that, and then you're like, I'm gonna go right and fight this thing, and then it goes horribly wrong.
And then you're like, I should have listened to it. No, and and it just takes practice. Everybody has it. Just takes practice.
And it usually just pops up and like, I shouldn't eat this, or I shouldn't be doing this,
exactly.
or
and
then you do it anyways, like, oh, I feel horrible.
And it's like, that's just like the bug. That's the bug in the mind too, because we all know that. Like, should I really eat that whole thing of Entenmann's donuts? Old fashioned? No, but I'm going to.
And then somehow you justify it, like,
oh,
well, I haven't had a donut in 10 years, so.
It's been 10 years, and I like ran La Loose today, so I did my carbs. I'm carving up.
Right.
Like,
this is just a food example, but I mean,
you
do some stuff like that. It's like, should I do this? Should I do that? And you have this, feeling of saying yes or no, and when you go with it, you're like, okay,
and then Rebecca taught me this one. When she couldn't decipher whether it was intuition or ego, she would eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And for the most part, like, it really works. Mo tells you where to go. I'd be like, even with Ricky, I'll watch this, and I'll be like, okay, should I go right? Should I go left? And I'll eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and it'll say go that way. And like, boom, takes us where we need to go. And I'm like, see? Like,
that's interesting. I didn't know about this trick. That's
it's a cool little trick of like, if you can't decide any, mini, miny, mo,
and then that's what you do.
And go with your mo.
Go with the mo.
Go with the mo. Because then I would mow but be like, I don't want that. When I go the opposite, it's like, nah, it wouldn't work. It's funny.
That's interesting. I didn't hear about that, but that's what's the difference between ego and intuition? We only have a few minutes left here. Maybe you can explain that.
Well, that was like another quote that I had learned, which was ego screams and intuition whispers.
Interesting. Now, what would you say? Why would you say ego screams? Can maybe go.
Ego scream. That's that loud voice that, like, let's say you're given an opportunity.
Okay.
And you are like really, really excited, and then all of a sudden the self-doubt starts to creep in.
Right.
And then there's like that other voice that is like, oh my God, this is so amazing. You're gonna be great. Just da 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 da. And there's like that, oh God, they're gonna hate. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Ah, okay.
They're all gonna laugh at you. That's
Right.
probably ego.
Gotcha.
Like the voice that is like feeding even more fear and creating a reason for you to not do something, or to like basically somehow sabotage it.
That's ego. Okay, now I know exactly what you're talking about. That goes back to what we were talking about of when you're teaching class and you're like, and you don't have 1,000 people or 500 people or 50 people in your class. You have 10.
Yeah.
You're like, what am I doing wrong? What it was my voice not good enough?
That's ego.
That's the ego. But if you take that out of it and say, hey, I'm just going to generally teach class today.
Yeah.
And then throw some love around and have fun. Then that takes it out of it, whether you're good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It is.
Interesting.
It
Okay.
is. Yeah, exactly. Like usually because like even when I was building the classes at Hot Yoga and Fusion, it's like, well, I'd been gone from Albuquerque teaching.
Do people still remember who John is?
I hadn't been teaching in Albuquerque really for about 2 years.
Right.
And so it's like I'm new again and building it up. And it was literally like, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to love the crap out of whoever comes.
Yeah, and that's,
like,
you see that in your classes, because sometimes on a Tuesday or like last Thursday, it's like, 2 Thursdays ago when we had the candle thing, is like, is anybody going to be here today?
Yeah.
Like, roll up to the parking lot, it's just your car and my car. I'm like,
I know, then all of a sudden everybody comes like, boom, like 1 minute before.
Yeah, and everybody
like,
was there. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we are having class today. Because I was like scared, like, am I late or something? Or
And then I just would have done like shihatsu on you. I would have been like, oh, Chris, guess what you're getting? All right, put your foot over your head.
Yeah, we're going to try it.
Then you're going to get like a one-on-one. You're going to get a private. Like.
But it's cool as a yoga person to get a private class, because you're like, oh, they actually were talking to me. But as a teacher, we talked about it's very difficult, because you're like, well, that's the ego though. That's the ego coming back and saying it's going to be difficult.
Because you're used to teaching a certain way and using a certain persona with so many people, and then when it's one-on-one, you can't sit there and go, okay, everybody.
Yeah, you have to change the verbs.
Yo, chaturanga! And it's like one person, they're gonna look at you like, what the Farquad?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna take this class. Like,
you have to change the verbs you use. You can't say everybody. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Makes you a better teacher.
It's pretty interesting. I liked how you brought that to intuition and ego and talked about that, because that's a good. Yeah, the ego is just gonna tell you how bad you are. Or in some cases, how good you are when you're not really that good, right? It's going to tell you the wrong answers.
It's going to tell you know things when you don't, so then you're going to actually have to like apply what you have learned, right?
Right.
Like, oh, I know how to do that, and then it's like if we don't keep up with those things and doing it, it's like we forget and we'll regress. And that happened to my yoga practice. It totally regressed. So I'm in Bikram. I was like, I don't know structure right now. Like,
just tell me what to do.
Okay, left leg
forward.
I've been telling so many people for so long what to do. Just tell me what to do. Tell me to kick harder.
Right. Oh man. Okay. Well, that's. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or?
I'm good. I'm gonna go play in the bosque.
Yeah. Or no.
Bosque. Bosque. Please tell us.
Yeah. Please tell us how to say it. In the very first beginning of this, I totally forgot we had that.
I know.
I'm going to leave that in there, and just people would be like, listening to the podcast, they're like, Bosque? What is this? Is this the right thing? Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for listening to us for last hour with Jennifer Applegate-Anaya.
And?
What?
I'm just joking.
Oh. I was like, did I miss something?
No.
Currently teaching at Hot Yoga and Fusion here in town.
Tuesdays and Thursday nights.
Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday, 7:30. So you can go to our website, sacredhotyogamethod.com.
Actually, I'm redoing it now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna get all redid.
Okay,
so
once
just go on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Facebook, what?
Facebook I have Sacred Hot Yoga Method.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. There we go.
It's a page. So.
And we'll link that up, of course, in the description below, so you can find it. Are you on Instagram or anything like that?
I am. I'm on Instagram. I think also as Sacred Hot Yoga Method.
Oh, okay.
And Pinterest.
And Pinterest.
Yes.
Okay. So find Jen basically anywhere on the internet.
Anywhere online, you'll find me.
Just look up Jaw.
Jaw.
Or Sacred Heart Yoga Method.
There's a blog called What Would Jen Do, but I haven't put anything on that yet.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
WWJD.
And that's not taken?
Well, it says what would Jen, and instead of D-O, it's D-E-W.
Oh.
What would Jen do?
Like Mountain Dew or do?
Yeah, like
okay.
do the do. Extreme.
We'll link that up as well too. All right, guys, that was a fun episode. We learned a lot.
Right?
I think so. And you're doing you need to get back into podcasting and sharing your
my
thoughts.
endeavors and thoughts, and yeah, I do.
Because you had some thoughts, and we'll link that up. That's on SoundCloud as well.
I want to do it like Saturday Night Live style, you know,
Impromptu?
but remember in Saturday Night Live, and there's like that, like, they just say like peaceful thoughts.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like something ridiculous, you know, like
Yeah, I forgot about
"Ow
that.
now, brown cow." It's like a butterfly behind it and peaceful music. Like,
I forgot about that. Yeah, we'll link that up too. Those are funny. That would be hilarious.
Right.
Thoughts from Jen or something like that.
Yes, serene thoughts from Jen.
It's like, yeah, that's just one thought.
All right, word. I gotta go.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll see you next week with another great guest, another burrito review, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Jen, for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you.
I think we had a lot of fun today. I feel like we did. We had a great burrito review.
Yeah, it was delicious. I'm gonna go and run it off now.
Yeah, now it's time to get rid of all these cows. All right, see you guys later.
Word.